There are books that you read to relax, to chill, sort of books that you take on a holiday. I almost fell. Again, this happens all the time. And then there are books that are quite intense, quite keeps you in a state of angst the entire time. And I would say No Country for Old Men is one of those books. Keeps you on your toes because you don't really know what to expect, especially with Cormac McCarthy. He doesn't specifically has heroes, not always, more anti-villains or regular people, folks that are trying to go through their lives. And wow, talk a lot about this book. It just left a mark on me. I found it when I was in my 20s at the library of my university, where I finally got as many books I wanted to read, and I found, for the first time, I found my love for literature. The literature I wanted to read and the literature I actually wanted to write. Not that I'm saying that I write like Cormac McCarthy or anything. But this book, I always mention the beginning. Just look at the beginning. Look at those first pages. I sent one boy to the gas chamber at Huntsville. One and only one. My arrest and my testimony. I went up there and visited with him 2 or 3 times. 3 times. The last time was the day of his execution. Didn't have to go, but I did. I sure didn't want to. He killed a 14-year-old girl, and I can tell you right now I never did have no great desire to visit with him, let alone go to his execution. But I done it. The purpose said it was a crime of passion, and he told me there wasn't no passion to it. He'd been dating this girl, young as she was. He was 19. And he told me that he had been planning to kill somebody for about as long as he could remember. Said that if they turned him out, he'd do it again. Said he knew he was going to hell. Told it to me out of his own mouth. I don't know what to make of that. I surely don't. Isn't that something? Isn't that deep? Isn't that just takes you right away into what this book is gonna be about? It I think breaks a lot of conventions. It goes against many rules people always in TikTok and social media keep telling you about of how to start a book. This book talks about characters that are never gonna appear again on the novel. It tells you stories that might be not relevant, but it's the feeling, the execution, the way it talks, the way it depicts the world is in, that is important, and it's gonna be relevant for the entire story. A lot of chapters start with speeches from the sheriff, who is the one who's not the only one who talks in first person in this book, and there's these italics paragraphs when he's talking. They're just I think they're the best part of the book. The whole book could have been him just talking and telling us his life story, anecdotes like that, because he's just magnificent. The way his thoughts, his philosophy, how sad the world has become, how old he is now in this country that doesn't appreciate or doesn't need him anymore, where he cannot survive anymore. It's just beautiful. It's just a beautiful book. This book has many phases, it's both quite simplistic because it's not overcomplicated. The narration is not gonna be, William Faulkner, or there's no purple prose. It's just sharp, specific, direct, sometimes raw, dry, and other times it surprises you with a beautiful sentence, a beautiful description. It does take you into this Wild West sort of atmosphere, this Texan world with cowboys, killers, drug traffickers, assassins. It's a wild ride, an intense ride. Sometimes it has a few times of charisma. It's not gonna be like those detective movies where the detective is chasing after the bad guy and he's almost there, and this is more real. Like, the sheriff feels almost useless against this horrendous villain. The sheriff feels like he is not enough to go up against that sort of human, and he kind of makes his peace with that. It's a whole new take on the genre, like I've never read anything like that. And on paper, like, if you hear it, it sounds like this is not gonna work. This is not gonna be a good story, a good book. But as I always say, It's not about the idea, it's not about the execution. And Cormac McCarthy has just enough talent to pull it off. And the villain, if we can call him that, isn't he one of the most magnificent bad guys of history, fictional history, both in book and movies? Because the film adaptation of this book, holy crap, equally great. The Coen brothers did fantastic job. Well, it won them an Oscar, and is also one of my favorite movies. Although not a movie I like to watch often because it can be dark, and the bad guy, Churgurk, with his funny haircut, yet intimidating. That's what a bad guy should be, not a dude full of scars, like saying, with his one-liners, cheesy one-liners. Oh, Mr. Bond, you and I are not so different. Like, no, he doesn't come with shit like that. He doesn't have to explain his master plan to anybody. He doesn't need to explain his tragic backstory and tell us why he's a bad guy now because his childhood was so terrible or his village was, devastated by mercenaries. No. He is a presence. He's on paper, right on your face. I think it's just great. I think it's fantastic. It goes with the vibe of the book. It doesn't have to spoon-fed you information or convince you why this guy has to be this evil and this dark. And dude is stoic, passive. He never yells. He never screams. He never has to threat, which is even more intimidating. McCarthy gets it. There's other authors. I'm sorry, I have to mention it. James Patterson has some of the worst villains ever. He's bad guys, they laugh at their own evil thoughts. They're like, I'm gonna kill these people. It sounds cartoon. It sounds like the bad guy from Phineas and Ferb, because he's almost that dude. Only that he actually kills people. But he's not scary. He's not intimidating. He's just hilariously funny, and not on purpose. It's funny, but not on purpose. The author doesn't want us to laugh at his bad guys, but I do. They're terrible. Cormac McCarthy's visceral. There's not much I can say about the bad guy. Like, he's just, I cannot even describe him. Whatever I say is gonna be short. And what about the dialogue? Cormac McCarthy gets away with the fact that he doesn't punctuate his dialogues. There's no quotation marks when characters are talking, yet you understand they're talking. Yet you understand it's a dialogue. Because his execution is just really well done. The flow between paragraphs and dialogue is smooth and intelligible, You don't need to be a scholar to understand his books, to read his books. Anybody can read his books. That's the brilliance of him. They're very accessible. Yet, you can tell it takes a lot of work to write them. You can tell they're a masterpiece. What about this part? What about this dialogue? Where are you going, baby? Something I forgot to do. I'll be back. What are you going to do? I'm fixing to go do something dumb or hell, but I'm going anyways. If I don't come back, tell mother I love her. Your mother is dead, Llewellyn. Well, I'll tell her myself then. Isn't that just badass and quotable as hell? So yeah, Cormac McCarthy has parts usually quite smooth, realistic, normal people talking, and then he drops you a sequence like that. Very well done. I just enjoy the book so much. And it's unexpected. You cannot really tell what's gonna happen because it's not a book where the heroes are gonna win and the bad guys are gonna lose. It just could go anywhere. And I don't want to spoil it. I guess a lot of people haven't read it, but it's a ride. It's a wild ride. I don't enjoy all Cormac McCarthy books. The Road, I didn't like. Did I mention that already? I didn't like The Road, nor the book, nor the movie adaptation. And it was so famous. Oprah talked to McCarthy about it. I don't know. I wanted the attention to lay on No Country for Old Men. A lot of people like Blood Meridian 2, which is better than The Road. Of course, it's his most famous book. I liked it as well. It's even darker and bloodier. I would love to see a film adaptation of that. Actually, I would be afraid of watch a film adaptation of that novel because holy crap, it will be intense, with the dirt, the blood, the Indians, the cowboys. Oh, I'm already, shaking about the thought. And the plus of these videos that I got to trash a little bit, James Patterson. I mean, I'm not gonna harm him. He's insanely famous. His Axel Cross books have sold by millions, which is fine. I don't hope he gonna do terrible, but it's just an author that I don't like at all. I've read a lot of his books, sadly. I don't know why I do that to myself, but I don't like him at all. I have to make a video about that because my thoughts are deep on that matter. Well, thank you for watching. Keep on reading and have a nice day.